You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Chrissie, and joining me is my co-host, Thad. How beest thou today, Thad?
It's the weirdest thing. I felt a presence trying to take over my mind, but I pushed it out, and now everybody else is acting weird. But
Really?
other than that,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Good to know. We'll come back to that, I think. Also joined with us today is Thad's co-host from the License to Spiel podcast, Carl Wonders. Carl, welcome to Infinite Diversity. How are you doing?
My dopamine levels are slightly elevated for being on the show, so thank you for having me here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've been a big fan of the podcast, so it's going to be great to partake, I would say, in the conversation today. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on, and the compliment. It's appreciated.
I'm always a fan of heightened dopamine levels. They're usually pretty good.
They
Yes.
indicate higher brain function or something or other. And
Something.
Wibbly wobbly,
Yeah. All right. Well, then before we jump into our topic for a day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, me and Justin Oser. Listeners, you can hear your name added to this list as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And if you have a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5 or more, you can join our meetings of the Hive Mind on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. We haven't decided the topic yet for next month. So if you have any ideas, shout it out in the Patreon, message board thingy. That sounded good. Message board thingy. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? The BQN Collective? Is that the name of the group?
Yeah.
It's like,
There's the collective.
yeah.
And then there's the Hive Mind. The Hive Mind is
Right,
just
but-
for patrons.
But the Hive Mind's just for patrons. Oh,
Yeah.
so the Hive Mind is where you would want to say that. Yes,
Yeah.
Sorry.
That
I
would
was
be the words I
confused.
couldn't think of. Which
Because
is
I
why
get the
said that.
notifications from both groups, and I'm just like, okay, this is
Yeah.
the BQN thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I've been not good about looking up news. We got potential for other people that we didn't talk about for coming onto Picard, and then there's some new comics, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing I'm excited for is Lower Decks Comics, which is the first Lower Decks tie-in of any kind, which is exciting.
Yes.
And the artwork that I've seen for some of the covers looks pretty good. Looks
Mhm.
like there's going to be a Sherlock Holmes one, maybe, or at least the
Maybe.
cover. Sometimes comic covers have nothing to do with the actual comic, so we'll see. But it looks awesome.
All right. So yes, I'm looking forward to the Lower Decks comics too. We talked a lot about who might be coming onto Picard from the Next Gen crew, and I don't feel the need to talk more about that unless you have
I will
something
say
particular to say.
the one thing that I've seen speculation on recently, which I hadn't thought of before, is Shelby from Best of Both Worlds.
Oh, I thought we talked about her last week.
Yeah, you did.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
I don't remember talking about her, but I'll take your word for it.
That's all right.
It would be interesting if they brought her back, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
would, she was at STLV last year, or she was at a con in the last year.
Mhm.
And it was the first time I had ever seen her at a con. I'm not saying that she hasn't been to cons before, but she's not a frequent con guest. So I wonder if that almost sort of backs that up a little bit, that she's like more in the Star Trek thing. I
Putting
mean,
her
it was
back on the
STLV,
circuit?
not...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was STLV. It wasn't Mission Chicago. So, but if they weren't making an announcement, that wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I'm still holding out hope for Pulaski, but it won't happen.
No, that's it'd be nice. But I did see somebody mention Amanda Rogers, and we had not thought of that. And that actually would make sense given that there's
Ooh.
something
That would
weird
make
going
more
on with the Q.
That would have made more sense in season 2, I think.
No, true. What do you think, Carl?
Corbin Burnson? No. No. I listening to your discussion last week, I'm still firmly in the Rolaren camp at this point.
Yeah,
I think that's
Rolaren, I think, is still the most likely camp.
And I think one of you on the show pointed out the fact that Terry Metalis was talking about how it implied that it was a difficult thing to accomplish. And as we all know, Michelle Forbes has been very happy to reject opportunities to be in Star Trek for long term.
Right.
So
at least 2 that we know of.
Yes. Yeah. So I that's still where my money would be if I were betting on this, but I'm not. So
I don't think I've seen her in anything since Battlestar Galactica.
I don't know.
I'm sure she has been in things. But
I'm sure
I don't
she's
know what
been in things, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No,
other than those couple episodes of BSG that she was on.
Yeah, I don't know.
She was really good in that, though.
She was. Yeah.
I'm assuming you haven't watched BSG in the last 2 weeks, Chrissie.
No.
That'd be a lot of BSG to watch it in a week. Get to that point in a week too. That's like mid-season 2.
Yeah.
No, I did not do that. Probably not going to over the summer. Just, I'll get to it at some point.
No. I was not.
No, I know
that was
you weren't.
Not a
I know.
Judgment. That was more because we had recently talked about how you have not seen BSG. That's why I said that.
Yeah.
Unless it's like that Portlandia skit. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yes.
No, I don't think I have
done that with some shows.
Wherever they start to watch Battlestar Galactica, and they're like, just one more, and then the power gets cut out, and they get like evicted notices, and they get fired from their job because they keep saying like, we're going to watch one more, and they finish the show, and then they get mad, and they go look up Ron Moore's like his address, and they can go and protest and tell them to make more episodes and stuff. So it's pretty funny.
I mean, I have never gotten fired, but I have definitely started to watch a show, got super into it, and watched like the whole thing in a couple days.
Yep.
That's definitely happened before.
For sure. Yeah, I love streaming. It's wonderful. So there wasn't a whole lot of news this week. Although, like I said, I'm looking forward to the comics. I think Lower Decks really lends itself to that.
Oh, there are, one thing that's a little near and dear to my heart, product announcement. So Blue Bricks, which is a German plastic building block company, which are basically knockoff Legos. They are completely compatible with Lego bricks. They are the same shape and size.
Nice.
And, fit together and everything. They have a license to make Star Trek sets. They've made a few. I actually just had ordered them a month or so ago, but they came from Germany, so it took a while. I just got some this past week. I got a giant Enterprise D. It's like this long. It's
it's awesome.
Pretty impressive. But the other cool one I got is this shuttlecraft.
Oh, look at that! Wow,
nice.
It even has like the interior, like it's got like the seats and everything inside. It has LCARS just control panels and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And they just announced a whole bunch more, including the one that I'm especially excited for is a 3,000 piece Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
It includes a tiny little Defiant attached to its airlock port, and a Danube class runabout, like in similar vein to this, which is also completely, which you can take the top off and see the entire inside, including the back compartment that you only ever saw on TNG.
Well, I was going to say, if it's DS9 licensed, they should just have like a empty void behind the cockpit.
Well, no, they have the license for I don't think they haven't made anything from new Star Trek, so they may only have the license for Berman era and before, but they have the license for all of them because they also have some others that anyway, they're cool. And the fact that I just recently got some, like, I'd say the build quality, and I've built quite a few fake Legos over the years because I am a huge Lego person. You guys can see that there are Legos in the background all the time. This is from that other Star franchise, so we won't talk about that. But
still cool though.
The quality of these is very good, like almost as good as the real thing, I'd say. I've had some that are not nearly as good, and they do actually come with numbered bags like the Lego sets do. And yeah, so
Nice.
it's my only major complaint is that Blue Bricks has some of their building instructions available for download on their website, but none of the Star Trek ones. And I prefer to do the instructions off a tablet because it takes up less space and it's easier to change pages than to put a giant booklet on the table. But that's a minor complaint. I'm very excited. There's going to be the Klingon Bird of Prey from Star Trek 3 as well, which also looks really cool.
Cool.
Cool. Just and they are in Germany, but they do ship to most countries. They don't ship to the UK because of Brexit, but they ship to most other places. And that's Bricks, spelled Brixx. Blue, the word blue, bricks.
All right. Well, that was our disjointed news segment. So let's jump into the Elysian Kingdom, which is definitely a strange episode of Strange New Worlds. Yeah. So, Carl, what's your initial impressions on this episode?
So I would say for the first 45 minutes or so, it was a delightful take on the style that they've done every so often in Star Trek, where it's like a Cupid episode or an Armand Bashir episode where everyone dresses up in funny costumes and they act in a strange way in a lot of ways, very much like Armand Bashir, especially where you get to see the same actors doing completely different roles.
Yeah. And
we'll get into some of them. I think the performances in this were amazing from start to finish, as far as I'm concerned. I thought everyone nailed it. I have to give a big shout out from the beginning to Babs Olusemogun, who just was incredible in this entire piece. And then right towards the end, and I don't want to jump too much because I'm sure we'll kind of talk through it. He makes some choices in this episode that I really struggle with, I'll be honest. I am the father of a 10-year-old. I'm not quite sure how old his daughter is supposed to be, but I think it's about that age. And especially the first time I watched it, I was angry in a way about how this went down. I've seen it twice, and seeing it a second time, I was a little kinder to the choice that was made. And I think my real issue, not the idea of telling a 10-year-old or however old his daughter is, you get to make this massive decision about your life and et cetera, whether she can make those types of big choices as how old she is, we can debate. But I think I wish that this had been drawn out throughout the course of more than one season, and certainly more than 5 episodes. I think this arc with his obsession around finding a cure for her was very powerful and potentially very powerful. And I thought that they just wanted to get it over and done with and move on in a way. And they tied it up in a very neat, tidy package that I don't think completely rang true for me. And I'm happy to, I don't want to just keep talking about it, but, we can talk more about why that is and stuff as we go. But I would have liked to have seen more of his quest to find a cure for this disease and possibly failing to do so, rather than one little montage that we get in this episode. And especially, you have a father who is obsessed of finding a cure to the point where he keeps his daughter in a transporter buffer for we don't know how long. And then all of a sudden he says, okay, this is better than what I could do. Go off and live your life in this amorphous state or whatever condition she's in. We don't really know. I like the sentiment a lot, and I thought, and emotionally in the moment, it absolutely killed me. I don't think I've reacted to a scene quite as powerfully in this vein, maybe since becoming a parent and watching Real Life again, and absolutely being gutted by the end of that episode. But as I thought about it, things kind of rang a little falsely for me, and I really struggled with it, to be honest. But again, the bulk of this episode, the first 4.5 acts of it, I thought were a lot of fun. Maybe it didn't make so much sense, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, it wasn't supposed to make sense.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Right.
Your thoughts, Thad?
I tend to agree. I mean, I don't personally have children, but I also felt like it was rushed, and that like he's basically asked to choose whether he wants to let his daughter leave and, for all he knows, never see her again, and effectively not see her much at all. So that she will no longer have this disease, or go back to the status quo. And he has to make this decision in a split second, and that is not something that should just be decided lightly and immediately trust this this organism that has taken over the ship. And we don't truly know that it's not malicious either. There's all we have is the word of a little kid to say that. And yeah, I also had a big problem with the ending of this episode.
Is this another Isabella for all we know? Like, you know,
right. Oh, yes. Good
to go back to a wonderful episode of TNG.
Okay, that was sarcasm. Okay, got it.
That was sarcasm, yes. And to me, you know, the choice that he's given originally is it's your daughter or your crew members. It wasn't even your daughter healed or not healed. The entity speaking through Hemmer says you have to choose either your daughter's life or the life of your crew, which is a false choice, frankly, because they're still there. They're just being controlled in some weird way.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you. The idea that Rukia is making an informed decision there, the idea that even that Mbenga is making an informed decision there, but at least he's an adult, you know. So it reminded me of, is it Lonely Among Us in TNG, where Picard tries to become one with the cloud and then has to come back in through? That's what it reminded me of, except for the fact that Picard was an adult.
Lonely Among Us twice this season.
When did we reference it before?
I referenced it a couple episodes ago. I don't remember why now.
Okay.
I only remember it because Carl, you called me out for it.
Right.
You said you were watching it, and I'm like, why? Anyway, sorry.
It wasn't any better the time I watched it either. I'll just say that.
Well, now when you watch it, you can be like, oh, at least he's an adult making a decision. So there you go. It's better.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, right.
But that's okay.
When you get to L,
I mean, I will
to.
When I eventually get to L in my Star Trek alphabetical rewatch, but that's a ways away yet.
Yeah. So I think I don't like the way it ended with her. I don't like the fact that she appears to have been brought on just as a plot point for Mbenga's story. Okay. We find out, at least I think we are to understand, that he's a widower from the way he talks about her mother and the way she does.
Yeah, that's the impression I got.
Yeah. So we have, if the entity had cured her, and then we go on to like, oh, here's the doctor has his daughter on the ship and she's the only kid, and you know, so how does everybody deal with that? And then we could have explored some of that the way we did with Ben and Jake Sisko, but you'd have a different aspect because they're on a ship. It's earlier. It's a father and daughter instead of father and son. I think there's a lot that we could have done there that is lost opportunity. The only reason I can see this actually working for me is if this ends up being why he leaves the Enterprise, you know, and is not there and then comes back in TOS. So,
okay.
Because of like bad memories, you know, just
right, yeah. Okay,
that's the only reason. But even that is like,
But then that also makes it seems odd that when he came back, he would come back to the same ship.
So in that one, I would just Bones personally requested him for some reason. You know, there's lots of ways.
There's ways to get around it. I'm just
yeah. No, I don't disagree. But this really does feel like the character was invented for him to have a plot point that is probably not going to be picked up on very much since we're not serialized.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. Well, everybody knows our opinions on this. Let's go through the rest of the episode. We'll come back to this. We'll come back.
Let me just say off the top that Melissa Navia steals the show this episode.
Oh, I have at least two other people in mind that steal the show too. Like there was
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
okay. Most of the actors are really good in this
Yes.
episode. I guess I should say I really enjoy Melissa Navia's performance as Ortegas as Sir. I've forgotten the name.
Adya.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sir Adya.
I was just happy to see her have many things to do in this episode, and
Yes,
which was nice. I'm still looking forward to the real Ortegas getting a spotlight shown on her for a bit, but I'll take this.
I'm sure
too.
we'll get an Ortegas episode at some
Yeah.
point. If it's not this season, certainly next season.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start out, of course, Joseph. We find out his name was Joseph and Benga, not Jabio, or however it's pronounced for what it is in the books. J.
Yeah, it's
IBLO.
interesting that because they've taken so much from the books lately. It's interesting that they decided to go with a different first name.
Especially considering that there were standees and posters with that name on them in Chicago that they had to then take down.
I think this proves that was a mistake.
Mhm.
And
Well,
they were
yes.
never going to give Spock a first name.
No.
So that was obviously a mistake from the beginning. That was somebody who made those who didn't know anything about Star Trek and had just we don't see the first names of these characters. Let me click Google that.
Mhm. And then it went
is
through
the
5
explanation
people.
I have for that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're probably right there. But anyway, so he's reading the Elysian Kingdom to his daughter and
Elysian Kingdom by Benny
Benny
Russell.
Russell.
by Benny Russell. Yes. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
He can write what he wants, but since I read Coda, I kind of feel like I only want him writing what amounts to Star Trek. So I don't know how I feel about that. But
Well, I mean,
that's
maybe
my
he
problem,
also,
not
on the
anyone
side,
else's.
he also writes because I mean, if you figure Benny Russell before he got fired was
Mhm.
working for that pulp magazine, so he wrote all sorts of stories before he started writing Star Trek.
Oh, true.
So
This
could
could be
one
before.
of his early works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That fixed it. Thank you. I also had a moment of he's writing children's literature, which is interesting. But all right. So the Elysian Kingdom, if you're not familiar, that probably rang a bell for a lot of people. This is going to sound strange, particularly if you saw the Gladiator with
That was my first thought, honestly.
mhm. What's his
And if you
name?
find yourself alone in the
Russell
field,
Crowe.
Russell
don't be
Crowe, thank
afraid,
you.
for you will be at Elysium.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that was my first thought.
So the Elysia or Elysium or the Elysian Fields are part of the Greek afterlife that the Romans went, like so many things with the Greeks. Hey, that's nice. It's ours now. So you see it in both classical cultures.
It's one of the
And-
few ones where they kept the name, though. And
True.
a lot of them,
Yeah.
they usually change the names,
Yeah.
except Apollo for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, it's Apollo. I don't know.
Better that one.
Yeah. Right. So it's where it started out as confusingly one of the places where the gods live when they aren't on Mount Olympus, or where the gods go after they die, except they're not supposed to die, and then it just becomes the place where the righteous and the heroic spend eternity. So it's basically heaven. So there's a lot of layers to that with this, because you have the concept of the sky and space being heaven, and all of that. So yeah, this story, how are we feeling about this whole thing where he's got his daughter in the transporter buffer and brings her out for 10 minutes at a time or whatever it is? I know we've talked about this before, but there's more of it this time. So
I mean, I liked it from the beginning. From when it was introduced. It's yet another one of our many characters that seems to have this secret traumatic backstory that I kind of am a little bit tired of them going back to that well.
mhm.
But that moment in episode 3 definitely worked for me, where he's keeping his daughter alive in the buffer because she has this disease and it prevents it from progressing, and which is an interesting idea, and that he brings her out so he can read to her every night or however often he does it.
Mhm.
And I liked the little things thrown in there in the next episode too, where, he forgets where he is in the book, and she's like, you already read that part, because he's doing this over and over again, and she doesn't always remember, I guess. That, as a through line, I thought it worked fine. And again, to go back to what we talked about earlier, the problem I have with this whole thing is that we never get to see him working to solve the problem that much. He met with and I forget the character's name in that episode a few episodes back. At the end of the episode, he's sharing medical notes, and he's like, oh, this might be the start to a cure. Well, that didn't really go anywhere. And then we just see him at the beginning of this episode doing some experimentation that Starfleet OSHA would have major problems with, as we see. They don't have fume hoods in the 23rd century, apparently.
Well, that's because they have those force fields.
But it didn't work. He got a face full of whatever, which I actually thought was going to be the cause of the hallucinations at the beginning.
Yes.
I was wondering, like, oh, maybe this is where that's going to go. Because I'd seen that clip from the Ready Room, the initial clip where this happens. But anyway, I always liked this idea of him having a daughter in the buffer, and he's doing what he can to keep her alive while he works on this problem. That I never had an issue with.
Yeah. My only big issue with that was, and now that we finally basically answered that, was where was the mother in all this? Because if the mother, if he's widowed, which is what it seems to be with the way she talks about naming the entity after her mother, then it makes sense. Because if the mother was alive back on Earth and he's off on the Enterprise with the daughter, that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah. I was glad we at least got that worked out.
And my other issue was that he was hiding it, but we also have fixed that too. So yeah. And I talked about that more in the episode, but covered that. So
yeah, I know we've talked about her before in this issue before, but since it appears it's not going to be an issue anymore,
it's true.
As we'll talk about it one more time. Right. So then he gets called up to the bridge first of all, number one comes in and asks him why he hadn't cleared some shuttlecraft crew for duty. And is he the only doctor on the ship?
And do they not go to sickbay to do this?
Right. Yeah. Like, was he supposed to go to their quarters, or is there oh gods, what did they call it in Enterprise? The decontamination.
Oh, have they been rubbing gel on themselves for 5 hours?
Oh man.
Yeah, are they just sitting there waiting for him? And so that didn't make sense to me at all.
In a Lower Decks episode, they would cut to these three people like sitting on the cots in sickbay, like twiddling their thumbs, waiting.
Yes,
like directly behind him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just being ignored.
But so he has to go up to the bridge because they tried to leave the nebula, which Pike was so happy about. We could just do some science. And Spock's like, no, you jinxed it. And Ortegas gets hurt. We don't know how bad.
Because Starfleet control panels don't have circuit breakers.
Yes. And then he gets up there and we are in some kind of medieval style throne room ish. Yeah.
That's what it seems to be, like the court of the king or whatever.
Yeah. So a courtroom. Yeah. So thoughts on our first introduction to the now live action characters of the Elysian Kingdom.
Anson Mount had so much fun doing
oh my gosh.
Oh, you can tell, yes. And the hair. Oh my God.
Yes.
Right. If I hadn't known that this was all filmed and done before people started talking about how poofy his hair was, I would have thought for sure that they did that on purpose because of how people were talking about his hair. But
yeah, on my second watch, I just was paying attention to all the things he was doing in the background because he never stopped being Sir Ralph through the entire thing, like doing little thumbs up to things, mostly when it's involving staying behind. Yes. And we're going to jump. I'm sorry.
No, we jump around. You're fine.
Imprisoned Sir Ralph is just amazing.
Yes.
And I think my favorite one line of his was when they run into Pollux and he says we have to go through the swamp of whatever. He's like, oh, that's a bad swamp.
Yes.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Just such a wimp. It's I love it. Love it.
Yes. A beautiful opposition to Pike as we know him.
Yes, and it's great to see him, like, because he and Adya are clearly like opposites in every way, and that's they play it off so well in their hatred and bickering to each other. It's perfect.
And I feel like the Sir Adya / Ortegas, I feel like that is not as much. That wasn't straying as far from who Ortegas is.
No, that was very much the sort of person
but
Ortegas is already.
Yeah. But we never did find out what happened to her injuries. So I'm just going to assume the entity.
Well, maybe since the entity was able to heal the daughter, maybe it was also able to heal Ortegas.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then what when they left?
Maybe Ortegas wasn't really injured as much as they thought. True. It might have been like appeared that way because maybe she wasn't responsive because she was being overtaken by the entity or whatever.
Oh, true. Good point.
Yeah.
So, so what do we think about Sir Adya?
My favorite part for Sir Adya was when Umvega's talking to Hemmer, and Hemmer says that making contact with the entity felt as though his brain were being squeezed through his nose, and Adya says, "I did that to a man once."
Yes, that was beautiful.
That's a great moment. Two other ones that I stuck out to me the first time I watched it, and again the second, very early on when Sir Routh is talking and he puts his arm up in his cape and she just pulls his arm down so her face is visible to the king. I thought was great.
Oh, I missed that.
And then later on when they run into the Crimson Guard, which is clearly a red shirt reference.
Yes.
They say, hi, you're unarmed, and she beats up the one guy and takes the sword. She's, I have armed myself, and takes out the rest of them. She's just
beautiful.
She's just kicked so much ass in this episode. It's great. I loved it. Love every moment she does something.
Oh yeah. So the last thing about Sir Adya that came to mind for me is, have we seen Ortegas with a sword? We haven't seen her like fencing or anything like that.
No, but no. I mean, she mentioned Lirpas before.
Oh, that's right.
She did mention, don't get involved in Vulcan relationships.
And I can't say it the way she does. I can't say it the way Melissa Navia does, but yeah.
But
they will cut you with a Lirpa. That was a great one. Yeah. I laughed.
I still want that short track that explains how she got her Lirpa scars, but
I just want that on a t-shirt. Yeah. They will cut you with a Lirpa,
Yeah.
But
I mean, I got a different shirt made from that episode, but I didn't do Lirpa. I made a shirt that was it appears hijinks of the logical course of action.
Also good. Yeah. All right. T-shirts. Okay, so this is going to be some BQN merch that we'll do later. It occurred to me that it would be really funny if she's the one that introduced Sulu into fencing and swordplay.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, have we seen her do that anywhere else? But yeah. So, and I looked up the name, because I looked up everybody's name here, because there were some that were actually connected to like mythology and stuff, and there's some that weren't. Adya, if you type Adya into Google, the first thing that comes up is this episode of Star Trek. That's it. And then the next thing that comes up is variations of spelling, which eventually lead you to Arya Stark. So,
that is entirely possible.
Yeah, don't know on that one.
So it's a reference to that. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, and Sir Routh, same thing. Routh is. I mean, there's lots of people named Routh if you stick that in Google, but there wasn't any reference that I could connect. So, okay. So the next we meet Christine Chapel as Lady Audrey, who I feel like you have to make those hand motions of like, checking somebody's aura while you're talking about her. But she was fantastic in that. What did you guys think of Lady Audrey?
I liked her.
Yeah. Not as much of her as others, but I liked what
we don't
she
see
did.
her all that much, but
Yeah. I wish
see
we'd
her
had
about
more
as
of
much
her.
as we see of La'an as Talia.
That was
was
a
something.
thing. Mhm.
Yeah.
That was definitely an acting choice.
Yes, it was. All right. Yes. Again, with Audrey, I mean, that's an old name. I didn't find anything really to go there. And then while we're in Lady Audrey's medicine hut, I don't know while we're in sick bay, we meet Princess Thalia and Princess Thalia's lovely little dog Runa,
who is Christina Chong's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Christina Chong's actual dog.
Yeah.
Which is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really fun. I didn't realize that. And, and then they put pictures up on Twitter and stuff. Like,
in the Trek Core recap, they raised the question of, did the entity create this dog for this scene?
Yes. Because...
Which is a very good question.
Yeah.
I could see... I could totally see La'an having a dog. And but it would be a German Shepherd Mastiff style,
Oh yeah, it would not be.
This is 5 feet at the shoulders and has the capacity to rip Gorn
which
to
is
shreds.
why seeing La'an as Talia with that dog playing that type of person is so great, because it's so different from, in the same way that Anson Mount's Pike is very different from Sir Ralph.
Yes. In this case, we actually do have a connection. Thalia is the Greek muse of comedy, which I think certainly connects well with the bad singing.
It was very amusing. I'm also very glad that she didn't hang around with him and become part of the party, because it would have gotten very annoying very quickly.
Yes. Which was, to me, was punctuated by that great moment by Babs when she does the bad singing, and he's just like, great.
Which is, and then you have Pike going.
His deadpanning is, the thumbs up, and then he deadpans so well in this episode when he's just kind of.
Oh yeah, the dry humor in this episode was just like, I was parched, and it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And that dress that she had on, some of the stuff was at Chicago. I think the dress was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes,
and so was
Sir
Adia's, I think. Yeah.
That was not. Yeah, that was a hell of a dress. Not something I could ever imagine on even looking at, much less putting on.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's funny.
Yeah.
So then we meet Castor the Wizard, except it's not Castor the Wizard because it's Hemmer. And he knows what's going on, or he doesn't know what's going on, but he knows he's not affected by the entity here. That was an interesting way to play that. Would you guys think about having Hemmer be the other one who was conscious of reality?
It makes sense given Enar telepathic abilities. It does make you wonder why Spock was affected, but we do see that the Enar appear to have more powerful telepathy than Vulcans, because Vulcans don't talk to each other telepathically.
No.
Unless you count mind melds. Whereas in the Enterprise episode, the Enar, we learn that the Enar actually, that's their normal communication when they're not around non-telepathic people, is they just speak telepathically.
Yeah.
So it makes us. So I was wondering about that, why Spock wasn't, and I still kind of wish there had been some sort of throwaway thing where you sort of see that Spock is not quite as affected as the others. Mm-hmm. But regardless, it makes sense that Hemmer would be more able to fight it off than Spock.
And Spock's half human, so that might have something to do with it,
right,
too.
That's also true.
Yeah. There you go. You explained it.
And I was just happy to see Hemmer a lot, because we hadn't had much of him.
We didn't get him at all last week.
No.
Yeah. There's been a couple episodes that we didn't see him.
Or if we have seen him, it's just for a second.
Yeah.
And speaking of dry humor, so good.
Hemmer's the king of dry humor.
Oh,
he is.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. The magic of science, that whole weird little dance he does with the communicator.
Yes. Abracadabra.
Yep. And the thing that he was cutting them out of the jail with looked like it was supposed to be a sonic screwdriver to me, but
Yeah, I assume it was a tiny little building torch.
oh yeah, but
yes, it did kind of look that way.
Yeah, right. And then he brings up this thing called a Boltzmann brain.
Yes, which is a real thought experiment from the 19th century.
Yeah.
I looked that up. It's pretty wild. Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole reason it was created was sort of as an absurdist argument against the scientist named Boltzmann, who theorized that the reason the universe is as ordered as it is because it just happened is because entropy happens randomly, and at some point the ordered universe happened in this exact random way. And so someone else was like, well, then a human brain complete with the entire memories of a life could just randomly appear through that same logic. So, and it's a very strange thought experiment. Like, it's interesting for Hemmer to bring this up as a actual thing that might be real.
Yeah.
Why would Hemmer know about this?
That's another question.
Yeah. Unless we're going to find out that between now and when they are, it's an actual thing.
That's also possible.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, apparently Boltzmann was arguing against thermodynamics because thermodynamics is chaotic. And he's like, the universe can't be chaotic. And thus we have the Boltzmann brain, because somebody said, well, if it's like you want it, like you said, so.
Right, he's basically saying the universe will naturally end up in an ordered state, which doesn't make that much sense because
life isn't terribly orderly.
No.
The universe isn't terribly orderly. But so we meet Castor, and then we meet Pollux. Also a
more
wizard.
Greek references.
Yes, more Greco-Roman references. Another ones that they did not change the name of. It's Castor and Pollux in both. They are, this is one of my favorite references here. They are twin half brothers because Leda, their mother, was first impregnated by her husband, and then Zeus decided to visit her in the form of a swan and then impregnated her for the other one. Pollux is the demigod. And Castor.
So is there another name for that? Because I feel like fraternal twins doesn't quite cover it. It's something even more, or demi-fraternal twins. Like, how's this?
Okay. This can actually happen with cats.
It could actually happen. Yeah. So
it doesn't usually happen with humans, but again with cats.
Because fraternal twins are two different fertilized eggs that both implant at the same within the same general period.
Yeah.
Which you could theoretically, the odds are astronomically low that it would happen at all, much less that it would happen with two different partners. But it's theoretically possible.
That's true. Especially if one of them is Zeus, I guess.
It's probably twice as likely to happen with Klingons.
So that's they are the Gemini in the astrology circles. The Roman equites, the cavalry, venerated them particularly because they were all associated with horses and warfare. So what do we think about Wizard Spock?
I think makes perfect sense that Spock would play the character with a secret brother.
Oh, I didn't even go there.
Yeah.
How did I not? Oh, that's perfect.
It worked. Ethan Peck was also having a lot of fun with this role.
Yes.
Yeah. I was disappointed we didn't have a little more of him.
Yeah.
But
I'd be down to see some more evil Ethan Peck.
Yeah.
I do appreciate, though, the fact that they either intentionally or not sidelined a lot of the people who are typically at front and center, at least or have been in the last few episodes. So we've seen a lot of La'an, we've seen a lot of Pike, obviously front and center, and now he's kind of a background person. And then Spock, who's kind of another, almost not an afterthought, but he's definitely a secondary part of this episode.
And we only get Una for one scene as well. And we've seen a lot of
right.
too.
Yeah. So, but now we get to have Hammer and Mbenga at the forefront, and they've really been kind of, relegated to second tier status for a lot of these episodes. So I was fine with just the way that it all shook out.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of it that way. Yeah. That's a great way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ortegas was with them the whole time too. Was another character we talked about. We haven't seen that much with. Like, she's in every episode, but she doesn't have all that much to do.
Yep.
She's like the Harry Kim of Strange New Worlds.
But she'll get promoted at some point, I'm sure.
It's true.
Probably.
She's probably not going to suffer as much as Harry Kim.
No.
She'd have been dead like 3 times already by now. But
I think Harry Kim only died once in the first season.
Oh, okay.
No, it was twice. No, it was once. It was once. There were multiple in the second season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Yes, and so then Pollux takes them to Queen Nev, who is Uhura. And again, we have another name. It's not a common name. It actually means bright. And the only person I could think of was Nev Campbell from the actress from the 90s. It in a couple places where I looked, it said it might derive from the Latin word for snow, which is nix. And I don't see where that goes at all. But, I'm not a linguist, so we'll leave it at that. What do we think of Queen Nev?
Another actress who was loving their ability to play evil.
I was almost getting a Captain Proton villain-esque vibe from her. Just the scenery chewing was just glorious. And
this is great because it lets us see scenery chewing and whatnot from our actors, but we don't have to go to the mirror universe, which
thank goodness.
Milked a little dry lately. The only thing that I would accept for a mirror universe episode would be if they're rescuing Prime Lorca.
Yes, absolutely. And not only would I accept that, I want to see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't get to see much of her, although fantastically done. And then the last person we meet, one of the security officers is in the Red Guard, and I can't think of what her name is.
I thought she was the navigator, right?
Oh, excuse me. You're right.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. We've seen her a few times, though.
Yeah, so we don't see much of her. And then we meet Zymeria the Huntress, who is Una. Zymeria it means sent from the heavens. I'm not sure. I don't remember which language. For some reason, I didn't write that down. But I think we're definitely looking at more mythology here. She's Diana, the Huntress.
I can shoot him with an arrow if it helps.
Always
So
helps.
good.
Always helps.
And the romance between Zymeria and
yes,
that was. And you haven't called upon me. Like I like that because it was like they're making the joke of you never call, but obviously
something about a raven or something like that.
Yes.
You could have sent a raven.
You could have sent me a letter. Yeah. I thought that was
you two don't know each other. Oh, I assure you, we very much know each other.
And I like her reply. Just repeats like very acquainted.
So I thought that was interesting because they flash back to the characters in the book, right? And Sir Adya is in the book is kind of, you can't really tell gender, know?
Yeah.
And so it could go either way. And of course, the tradition of women as knights being called Sir in fiction, that's all over the place. Okay, so we see Rukia saying that she wants the two of them to team up to help, the king to deal with the story. I just realized now I didn't even write down Mbenga as the king on here. I had everybody else, but not him. So she wants them to team up, and then that gets turned into like has a romantic undertone, but not entirely. Yeah. And it reminded me of like when I was a kid and you would see things that were just geared a little bit toward adults, but it wasn't obvious. So you don't realize until years later that that was the context of it, because Rukia is thinking that way, but she's not thinking of it as a romance. But I just thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's interesting because, and I'm not criticizing this because I like seeing that extra layer thrown in there, but the fact that we find out that this whole fantasy is coming from Rukia, that the 10-year-old or however old she is, maybe she's a little older, would color it that way. And I agree that the drawing of Sir Adia is very androgynous in a way. Like it's very, we can't tell.
That's
and
the word I lost. Thank you.
Oh, okay. and then the fact that just by nature of who got which part, it works out that way. And you can delete this, but in my notes, I said that it's great that Rukia didn't have a Florida-based education because she's aware of pairing these two up in her head already. But anyway, I thought that was a really interesting little color that was in there that I thought worked really well. And
I have no problem leaving that in if you want. If
okay,
you don't want.
All right.
Okay, if you're fine with it, then no.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's hardly the most political we've gotten on this show this season.
Okay.
Not even close. or other things. Yeah. So that brings us to Rukia. Okay. She doesn't get a new name. I think I feel like she gets referred to as princess at some point, but I don't remember now.
Well, because she's gem.
That's right.
The Mercury Stone. Yeah.
So Rukia, I never bothered to look up the name when we were introduced to her. It is Swahili, and it means she who rises high. So that's perfect for the context here, which makes me further think that this whole character was invented to have this episode happen.
Sure.
Which is too bad if that's the case.
Yeah.
What do we think about this? We have this, we'll say imaginary friend, since that episode was brought up before. I'll steal that there. Don't be sorry. It's a good analogy. It is.
No.
The other episode that I think of is Metamorphosis from TOS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. What do we think? This whole situation. I don't know where to start with this. We already did talk about some of it, which is probably why I don't know where to start with it. But yeah, so Rukia, they find her in Mbenga's quarters because she wanted to see what his quarters look like. And so that makes sense. So Mbenga asks Hemmer to actually communicate with the entity. I don't know what else to call it other than entity. And he kind of reluctantly does so. What does he say? Don't make it hurt this, or be more gentle this time, or something like that.
Yeah, please be gentle, I think.
That's it. Yeah. And we get the story. Now, on first watch, did you believe this? When she was just saying like, oh, I'm just here. I mean, I guess she never did really like defend, and I'm saying she because Rukia gave her a feminine name after her mother, but seeing as how it's just a consciousness in a cloud, probably not gendered. But yeah, what do we think about? What did he end up calling Deborah? Was that what she ended up calling him?
Yes.
Oh, calling it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it worked out. But it just seemed like a big leap of faith without enough grounding in that faith to actually make that leap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just in thinking about it now, and I watched it right before we started recording, I actually think the ending might actually have been an unintended thing in terms of the intentions of this entity. The sense that, thinking about it now, the sense I got was, and we can quibble about whether this would have happened or not because she's in the buffer, etc. But this lonely consciousness sees this girl who's also lonely and is giving her the chance to essentially play with her dad. Because the whole thing, she's been watching her dad do this stuff, and she comes in, or he comes into his quarters. She's like, "You did so well, and did you have fun?" And I think that's actually a sweet thing, that she sees this girl that can't play with her father and gives him the opportunity to essentially play dress up and have fun together, with the unintended consequence of roping in all these other people who are conscious beings that they don't, for whatever reason, this entity doesn't care about, because the entity at some point says, "Well, I don't care about them. We have to save the kid," which, that in and of itself, I question, because this isn't the most benevolent creature in the world then. Or maybe it is a child and doesn't understand and thinks that children are the real people and adults are just something else. Because I think that there's something to be said for that for kids sometimes.
Yeah.
They favor children over adults. And then, the Mbenga says, "Well, you have to stop playing because it hurts my friends." And the entity says, "Well, if I let everyone go, I have to let her go, and she's going to get sick and die." And, and then that's when the offer comes to, "Well, you could always stay with me." So I don't mind the setup for the story. I mind the resolution. And again, I have a hard time with the idea that Mbenga would just sacrifice, or not sacrifice, but give up his daughter like that.
Yeah.
He does say in his log at the beginning of the episode that she's getting sicker, although we don't see that. She doesn't seem sicker. And when we see her,
I've wondered about that, actually.
I don't need to see a young child wasting away as a plot point or anything like that.
Sure.
But again, I would have loved to see. So I'm sorry, I'm just formulating my thoughts as I talk. And I'm going to bring in another show. I would have liked to have seen the equivalent of what happens in series 10 of Doctor Who, where the first episode we meet this traveler person, Bill, the companion of the season, meets this person in the water, and then we go through the whole season, and then by the last episode, this person comes back and takes her away because that's the solution to the problem she's in. And I wouldn't have minded seeing, we set this up where we meet this entity. We say, "No, I'm not ready to give up my daughter. I'm still trying to find a cure." Season 2 comes, or whatever, down the road, he still can't find a cure. She's doing worse. This is the only solution I have. And we go back and see if we can then do this, where she would then go off with this cloud, because we've now exhausted other things. I don't feel like we saw enough of him trying to solve this problem of her disease and failing to do so, that he would give up so quickly. It felt quick to me that he would. And then they then go double stab the heart by bringing the daughter comes back as an adult, which is another one in the isolation of that moment. It's a wonderful scene, but it feels very manipulative to me too. And it works on an isolated level, but I don't feel that was earned. That whole last couple scenes were earned by the show at this point. And I hate to criticize the show, because I enjoyed, again, everything leading up to this final scene. I thought it was great.
It's okay to have constructive criticism. I think that's constructive criticism.
Yeah.
We're not out there.
Honestly, in a way, I kind of feel glad that there's an episode that I don't really like where they went with it, because this is the first time that we've had an episode of Strange New Worlds where I don't really like where they went with it. And that's fine. If they did an entire Star Trek series where I loved how they did every single episode, that would be amazing, but it's never going to happen.
Like, I wasn't excited and happy when they were, sacrificing a child in the one episode,
Right,
but
yeah.
it made sense. It made 100% made sense in the context of that episode.
Yeah.
And
if the episode had ended with Pike deciding to sacrifice a child,
yes,
then I would have
had problems with that. Yeah. So,
What do you think, Thad? Anything else you wanted to say on that?
not really. No, I have more or less the same problems.
Well, good. We've all come together with our infinite diversity of the same opinion. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does remind me of the few times that we saw kids at the beginning of TNG where they're supposed to have this like independence and they're doing calculus when they're 9 and, they're not supposed to be sad when their parents die and all of that stuff. Where children are independent entities very, very early in life compared to how things actually work. So
that was all Gene Roddenberry's thing. He didn't think that people would mourn death in the 24th century, which is
nonsense.
I have a great deal of respect for a lot of Gene Roddenberry's ideas, but some of them not so much.
Yeah. I mean, you can see where he was coming from with the idea of understanding that death is part of life and all of that. But so
you can understand death is part of life and still be sad when someone dies.
Yes. Of course, we saw that in the original series as well with in Balance of Terror, right? That's the one that starts with the wedding and ends with the woman just like, I'll be okay, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like this was, I got a little bit of like Wesley and the Traveler vibes if the Traveler had taken Wesley the first time we met him.
Yes.
And Beverly had said,
I
go.
thought the same thing.
But even that, he was supposed to be, 15? Mm-hmm. There is a world of difference between 10 and 15 or 11 and 15. Yeah. So, So was she making an informed decision? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
Listeners, what do you think? Tell us. Yeah. It was a little too on the nose with however many times that he was told that he might have to choose between his daughter and the crew in that one episode. So that was, I didn't care for that, but.
Well, I thought it was a little on the nose too when he realized that, at the end of the book, the Mercury Stone is actually something with a soul, and the king has to give it up because it's going to die if I hang on to it. And I'm like, that's not how a children's book ends. That's not how the story ends. There's no way.
Written by Benny Russell ends.
Well, Benny Russell he didn't write happy stories a lot of times.
No.
Is it okay? See, because I actually was confused isn't the right word about this, but I was pondering this. Is this actually a children's book or is it an illustrated edition of a book?
Oh, that's possible. Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
And he's like reading like the Great Illustrated Classics version of the Elysian Kingdom or something.
Yeah. So maybe that is, he's supposed to make the point about the soul, but
yeah.
Every time I think of those illustrated classics for kids, I am reminded of when I read the illustrated classic version of Huckleberry Finn as a kid, and then later in high school read the actual version and was like, this is not the same story at all.
No, it wouldn't be.
The illustrated classic obviously had set it up so that from the very beginning, Huckleberry Finn was against slavery and was going to help Jim escape slavery because slavery is wrong. Which pretty much removes the entire character arc of Huck Finn from the book.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. All right, then. I don't think I ever read any of those.
I had a whole bunch of them. Yeah. I read.
They were cool looking.
There are quite a few like famous books that I have still never read the actual book, but I assume I know the story.
Based on Huckleberry Finn, I doubt you do, though.
But a lot of other ones, they work a lot better. It depends on how much they need to be sanitized for children, I suppose.
And then one must ask, why would you choose that? If you have to manipulate the story that much, pick something else.
Well, because it included like all the events that happened in the book, but like the whole part about how it just completely changed the motivations of the characters, which is weird.
Right. So so I thought about that. Maybe it's not a children's book or something.
It's possible.
But then again, I didn't read a lot of children's books as a child. I went from like the Boxcar Children to whatever the hell was on the shelf at home. So which was interesting. Okay.
I remember the Boxcar Children.
I love the
read a bunch of
Boxcar
those.
Children.
Yeah.
So yes. I don't really have a Chrissie's History Corner for this one, even though it seems like it would lend itself to that. But I do want to mention that this is an example of something in historical study and in actually a very multidisciplinary study called medievalism. Okay. So that isn't the study of the medieval era. It is the study of how the medieval era is portrayed and how it influences and how people think about the medieval with literature and the arts and sociocultural things that do not necessarily have to be true to history. So it has the medieval feel, but it is not actually medieval. So I mean, the best example lately is probably Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a medieval kingdom, but obviously it's not a real place. It is based originally on medieval events.
Yeah, it's definitely based on England.
Yeah. Oh, the Wars of the Roses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to History with Szilagyi's episodes about the War of the Roses.
You can tell that even more with the books.
Yes,
like it is
absolutely.
very
Yeah. So that's just something, if you hadn't heard of that before, it was something that I didn't really encounter until I was when I was in grad school. And I encountered it kind of by accident. So it's really a cool kind of thing. There's an international society. It's the International Society for the Study of Medievalism. I'm on the board for them this year. And so I'll plug that. And there's a conference if anybody wants to zoom into that in October. But it's a cool thing. And when you once you know it's there, you see it everywhere. And for good or ill, because there's a lot of medievalism in modern right-wing commentary, politics, and such as well. So
we
won't get into that. Especially the whole thing about it not being true to history. So that's medievalism. Right. Canon connections.
I was thinking the TOS episode Metamorphosis,
right?
Very similar premise here, because you've got Zephyr Cochrane being choosing to live with this entity, so the entity is alone and he is with it, and it can keep him alive indefinitely and all that. So that is a very similar idea there.
That's the Cage too, really, or
Tin Man even.
Yeah,
Tin Man, yeah. Well, I was thinking in Metamorphosis, it's specifically
it's
a non-corporeal
yeah,
entity.
of course.
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Why can't I think of the name of the episode that they parted the cage into?
Menagerie.
Okay. Carl, did you see any canon connections you want to?
I mean, we've talked about Benny Russell already. That was the big one. No, I mean, this is every so often Star Trek will do this type of episode where you dress up in something ridiculous and either play people who are thrust into this weird situation or play a completely opposite character from what you're used to seeing. And, again, 4/5 of the episode was a nice little homage to that type of story. And then the ending happened. So.
When I heard about the Swamp of Infinite Deaths, it made me think of the Fire Swamp from Princess Bride.
Yes, that's also a bad swamp.
Rodents of unusual size. I don't believe they exist.
Exactly. Oh, I've never seen them. I can canon connection that Carrie Elways. Carrie Elways was in Robin Hood Men in Tights with Patrick Stewart. So there you go. It is a Star Trek connection.
For a second, I thought you were going to tell me Carrie Elways was in Star Trek, and I'm like, what?
Not yet.
If only. Yeah.
I know, right?
I can take it longer around. Let's see. He was on Stranger Things with the guy that played Samuel Gamgee, who was in the movies with
Sean Astin.
Sean Astin, thank you, who was in the movies with Ian McKellen, who's friends with Patrick Stewart. So.
I was also in the X-Men movies with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. There's all sorts of places we can go with that. Final thoughts, if we hadn't said them already.
I mean, I don't really care too much for the way they handled the ending, but other than that, I enjoyed this episode. I still very much want to see more, although apparently next week's going to be a horror episode based on the trailer that dropped yesterday.
I didn't watch the trailer. I've been avoiding it. Yeah, okay. Maybe it'll be a horror comedy.
Not based on the trailer.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
They've done a good job, though, of making the trailer look completely different than the actual episode turns out to be.
That's true.
Okay.
Lift Us Up seemed like it was going to be Pike stumbling over himself over this woman and made it all...
I mean, that did happen.
It did happen, but it played up the funnier aspects of it, which that was not a funny episode.
No. Carl, thank you so much for joining us for the discussion today, all of the randomness. Where can listeners find you online? And is there any current or upcoming work you want to plug?
I can be found poking around Twitter. My handle is @listeningtofilm, and that's generally where I'm going to be hanging out online. As you mentioned in the intro, Thad and I also have a podcast called License to Spiel, which is completely non-Star Trek related, although we tend to work in Star Trek into the discussion at every opportunity. I don't think there's been a
single episode we haven't mentioned Star Trek.
It's in theory about the James Bond franchise and then James Bond kind of tangential films beyond that. And that you can find that where good podcasts can be found, or bad podcasts can be found for that matter. And if you're looking someplace only good podcasts can be found, you're not finding it.
I'm sure it's a very good podcast.
We also have a Twitter presence there. It's @Podspiel, SPIEL.
Thad, where can people find you when you're not writing songs of mourning?
Well, as Carl mentioned, you can find me on License to Spiel. Our latest episode covering Casino Royale should be out by the time this episode publishes. And you can find me on Twitter @Tyrannicus. That's TYRANICUS, where I talk about Star Trek and other things, but mostly Star Trek. I am continuing my A to Z rewatch of all of Star Trek in alphabetical order by episode title. I'm almost done with letter C. So follow along for that insanity if you really want to. And you can always also see me sometimes on Facebook in the BQN Collective. All right. Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not taking people captive so that you can get them to reveal their secrets?
No, that's very important work for an historian when they have a time machine. Yeah. They don't talk about that a lot, but yeah, that's the only way people talk, Right. In addition,
so you have a time machine and you're not like getting the Star Trek episodes early and sharing them? What the heck?
Oh, if I had a time machine. All right. So in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagyi here on BQN. That's a twice weekly history short podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. And I'm also happy to chat about our shows in the BQN Collective on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter @TheGoddessLivia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and lately a whole hell of a lot of leftist politics.
Can't imagine why.
I don't know. Don't know at all.
Don't forget all of our other great shows on BQN podcasts like Galaxy Class, All Good Things, Mickey's Marvels, Union Federation, and History with the Szilagys. And exclusive for our Patreon members, there's It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moment.
Previously on BQN. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast.
I think that's kind of the flaw of his genetic manipulation is I have to defeat my enemy. And in his mind, just like Moby Dick, the enemy is Captain Kirk, so he kind of blows his chance. In fact, in some ways that maybe saves the galaxy because it kind of just taken off and I got Reliant, I got Genesis, I'm out of here. Who knows what he could have gone and done.
Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast.
I think for cosplay, for me, a good way to put it is low effort, maximum impact, and you want to get that balance. Yeah, you don't want to put in thousands of hours of effort for it to look all right. So I put in little bits of effort and usually get a good result out of it.
Mickey's Marvels, a Disney podcast.
You know, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers otherwise feels like something that they would just reboot into a modern day cartoon like they've done with DuckTales. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did with like Darkwing Duck or Tailspin or any of those.
You will find these and more of your favorite podcasts on BQN.
And thank you so much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. We'd also like to thank Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. On our next episode, we'll be talking about episode 9 of season 1 of Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander. Until then, peace and long life.
Right. So, I thought about that. Maybe it's not a children's book or something.
It's possible.
But then again, I didn't read a lot of children's books as a child. I went from like the Boxcar Children to whatever the hell was on the shelf at home. So, which was interesting.
Oh,
okay.
I remember the Boxcar Children. I remember the Boxcar Children.
I love the
read a bunch of
Boxcar
those.
Children.
Yeah.
I'm actually astonished that they have not made a movie or a series out of that. I mean,
That
it's
is
such a
surprising,
good
actually.
premise.
Yeah.
Maybe the authors.
You'd think one of the like 12 streaming services would be all about doing one of those as a series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they're waiting for the copyright to run out on that. Like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. I mean, no, because maybe there are specific rules about that, but the Boxcar Children, like the author of the Boxcar Children, Gertrude Chandler Warner.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
She only wrote like the first like 20 or so, and then
19.
she died.
Yeah.
Okay. See. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
but there's like
go ahead.
a whole bunch more that are,
Mhm.
written by Gertrude Chandler Warner, sort of like the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew and all those other things.
Mhm.
So it's like, maybe she had a provision that it couldn't be made into a TV show, but that seems odd. That if they're still pumping out books in the series, like you'd think they'd also be able to do a TV show.
Yeah. Okay. So I Googled this. The first book was published in 1924.
Right.
So,
but then there was like another like 15 to 20 years
Right.
before she wrote any more.
right. And then it was re-released in 42. So if they're going by the 42 date, actually it is out of copyright because that's been 80 years. But I think she was dead before there was such a thing as television.
No.
There was an animated film in 2014.
No, because she was writing them into the 50s. And there was television in the 50s.
I have to look now just a second. Okay, yeah, there was an animated film with Martin Sheen as
With
the grandfather.
Martin Sheen?
animated, yeah.
Oh, is he the grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's funny. Oh no, you're right. She died in 1979.
Yeah,
Okay.
because so the first, so she wrote that first book. I know the history of this a little bit because one of the podcasts I listened to, I mentioned it in the in the last Hive Mind. Is one of the podcasts I listened to called Overdue, where one of the hosts reads a book and then talks about it. And they did the first Boxcar Children, and whenever they do that, they also give a brief biography of like the author. So like she wrote the first one, and then like 20 years later she re-released it with like to make it more current to the 40s, and then started writing the other books.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I knew that she wrote the first 19 and then died, and then my many years at the bookstore shelving the rest of them, all 250 other ones that have happened so far, none of which are as good as the first 19, but whatever.
Yeah, no.
There's another
that's
digression.
Also true. That's also true for most things, but but there's a lot of authors that supposedly continue how many Tom Clancy novels still come out, even though Tom Clancy's dead?
Michael Crichton too had a couple posthumous.
Michael Crichton's posthumous were like actually were actually like things he had written, though. It's not.
I see. What
the Tom Clancy. There are Tom Clancy novels that Tom Clancy had nothing to do with.
Rainbow 65.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. Okay. So I don't remember what brought us to that.
There are 160 Boxcar Children novels.
Oh. Okay.
And the most recent one came out this year.
Wow.
So yeah, they're still going strong.
Well, that's all right.
It's interesting. So yeah, they went through the originals by Gertrude Shane the Warner, went all the way through 19, and I'm looking at these. I read all of those.
And
I
had Scholastic box set of those.
And then they ended in 19. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it from the Scholastic Book Fair. They ended in 1976, and then they took a 15-year hiatus, and then in 1991 they started pumping several out every year.
That sounds about right.
And looking at those titles, I also read a bunch of those.
Oh, you young people. Yeah. That's funny that was 91, because that's about the time I started reading Star Trek novels.
Nice.
Whatever.
There was a period where I would have been reading both Boxcar Children and Star Trek novels concurrently because I was a child at the time.
Yep. 9-10 years old. Yep. All right. So, so overall, it seems like, and at least from our discussion and also what I've seen people talking about on Twitter and Facebook and such, that like it was a really fun story, except for the end. And the end didn't make sense to a lot of people out of Carl, like you said it in that one instance, within its own box, it's good, but the rest.
Oh, we're talking about the episode. I'm trying to think what was weird about the end of the Boxcar Children. Okay, never mind.
The fact that the grandfather had so much money that he just picked up the damn boxcar and put it in his yard.
The fact that the mystery was the fact that there's no way in real life the grandfather that they were hiding from actually turned out to be a nice person. But yeah, there is. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I want to know that story. I want to know what, that's the father's father. Yeah, because it's got the same last name. So then what happened? The mother and the father ran away and eloped, and he didn't like her or something. Yeah, anyway, okay.
Yeah.